Thank you, Minister. And I'm very honored to have been sponsored by Manitoba Agriculture to be here today. As you've seen in the production that was shown, agriculture is the backbone of the Sioux Indian Band. When we started our first vineyard back in 1968, and today where we lease over 1,000 acres of land to other vineyards and wineries in our region, agriculture is the backbone of the Sioux Indian Band. And for many First Nations across the country and in the U.S., agriculture does play an important role. I'm really honored to be back in Treaty 2 area. And I want to say that my chances over the last 20 years that I've been chief, into my 21st year of being chief of my community, I spend about a month a year traveling throughout Canada and the U.S. and overseas. Been down in Australia twice speaking. Wherever I go and speak, it's always about creating jobs and making money. I love hanging around business people. I'm going to speak mostly to the youth today. And I'm going to speak to the youth here the way I speak to my youth back home. I love hanging around youth. I love coaching sports, hockey, being involved in basketball. And I love it when I see Native youth competing, especially against non-Native people. Our basketball team, our little kids team, we started a team 4 years ago. First 2 years, we lost every game. The last 2 years, we've won every game. I firmly believe that Aboriginal youth, if given the chance, we can compete with anybody. And it often starts on the playing field. So I want to encourage Aboriginal youth to get involved in sports, any type of sport. And stay away from the go-nowhere crowd. Just like in my community, we have a go-nowhere crowd. Some Native youth that just want to hang out, wear the baggy clothes, hats on backwards, and stuff like that. You know, those are the go-nowhere people. They usually end up going nowhere. They usually end up dropping out of school. They don't get involved in sports. The Nintendo generation type, that they think this is the way of being an athlete today, is to twiddle your thumbs. So I'm going to speak the way I speak to my youth. And I normally bring youth on my speaking engagements. When I spoke in Edmonton a couple of weeks ago, I brought a couple of my high school youth with me. This time I didn't, but I want to say to the Wayway Sakapo people, on the Sioux Indian Band, we have a couple of your people there. His dad is from your reserve. And next time I come out here, I'm going to bring him here with me. So in Indian country, no matter which reserve you're from, you often have relatives that are scattered throughout Indian country. And it was so cool that I was able to meet in the hotel last night some people from Wayway. And so we have on our reserve 2 kids from 1 year, band members there. So that's cool. And when I left the reserve a couple days ago, I traveled on Sunday. On Friday, when I was going to my band office, there were 2 young Native guys walking into my band office. And when I see these young people around, I'm always asking them, hey, whereabouts you guys from? One was from Saskatchewan. I forget which reserve he told me he was from. And one was from northern BC. And as usual, when I ask the youth that are from other regions, how come you came to Osuyus? They came to Osuyus looking for a job. I'm glad to say that they found a job in one of our 9 companies. Because I firmly believe every Aboriginal youth needs the dignity of a job. A job defines who you are. So if you want to hang out with the hangout crowd and don't work, that says a lot about you. I want my youth to work. I don't want my youth ever to collect a welfare check. And I'll quickly run through a crash course on what I would call the way I think Aboriginal youth. If you want to succeed, if you want to travel, if you want to have nice vehicles, a nice house, if you really want to help your people, These slides I'm going to show you are the way I think you do it. Now, why are they moving? Maybe I'm clicking this thing wrong, right? Let me see if I can get this thing working properly. This first slide here is a cartoon that showed up on an Alberta magazine. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. See, normally I have technicians doing all this. This cartoon showed up in an Alberta magazine last year, and I'm actually trying to buy it from an artist. I actually like it. Some chiefs don't like it. I like it. As I mentioned, I love hanging around people that know how to make money. I don't like hanging around politicians. Sorry, Mr. Minister. But especially native politicians. Now, am I clicking this thing again? Can we do it manually and I'll just shut this off? Let's go back to the beginning. So I'll just point at you. You can just click these, right? Just arrow. So next slide. Is what I firmly believe in, is that we need modern day warriors today. And I'm not talking about the guys that wear those ghetto looking outfits. Those are not warriors. Unless you're earning your own money honestly, in an honest way, you're not a warrior. So we need modern warriors today. And I'm talking about some of the ones that wear the suits and the ties. Those are the people that are going to defend Aboriginal title and rights. We need people in the corporate boardrooms. As Terry mentioned today, this conference would not have happened without $90,000 worth of funding. Everything costs money. And I'll disagree, and I can have my debate with Terry on this, but to me, virtually every idea costs money. And I'd rather be from an Indian band that is making their own money rather than going out having to ask other people for money. And today, economic development is the new battleground. And many of you might have saw this on the front page of the National Post a few months ago. Real warriors hold a job. I don't care if you're sweeping the floor in a building. That's a very important job. In our first-class hotel, that hotel would not open if it wasn't for the people sweeping the floor and keeping the place clean. When I traveled up in northern BC, a month ago, I was speaking at a youth conference there. I went to Tim Hortons, and who served me was two young Native guys. And I asked them, "Where are you from?" And they told me which reserve they were from. I said, "How many Native people work here?" They told me in this Tim Hortons, almost 70% of the staff are Native. And I thought, right on. Don't ever think a job's below your dignity. Because real working people, I don't care if you're in high school or not, real working people will take any job. Any job is better than no job. I find too many Native youth, they think they're too good for certain type of work. You go to most of these fast food places, you see non-Native kids there that are in high school, going to school and working at the same time. That's when I told those two young guys I saw working in Tim Hortons, I said, "You guys are warriors. You guys ain't sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You ain't sitting there being one of the lazy ones. You're out there working and earning an honest living." To me, that's the type of warriors we need. Status quo. Look at most reserves. High unemployment. The biggest source of jobs is the band office. On most reserves I go to, and I've been on over 100 Indian reserves across Canada as well as the States. Most reserves I go to, the biggest employer is the band office. In fact, the only jobs on the reserve come from that band office. I tell First Nations across the country, the biggest employer in your community should not be the band office.